Welcome to a deep dive into a topic that really touches everyone, how we use our time, especially when we want to learn something new, maybe grow a skill.
Like mastering English, which is a focus in a lot of the source material we looked at.
Exactly. We've got this stack of notes, stories really, about time management specifically for learning English. But the core ideas here, I think, apply to any goal you might have.
Definitely. It's packed with examples of real people, just like you listening, trying to fit growth into busy lives.
And what's really striking, you mentioned this before we started, is how these sources kind of push back against that idea that you need huge chunks of free time to learn anything significant.
Yeah, they really challenge that. If you look at the bigger picture, it's all about spotting and using those little moments, the ones we usually just let slip by.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to unpack these stories, look at the hurdles people faced, and pull out the simple but really powerful strategies they used. How they stopped feeling like they were wasting time and started actually building the future they wanted.
Often just a few minutes here and there, right?
Precisely. So thinking about where these stories often begin, what's the main problem people seem to run into? That feeling of wasted time.
Well, yeah, so many of these accounts start from a place that's probably familiar to a lot of us. You feel busy all the time, maybe even completely overwhelmed.
Right.
But then you look back at your day or maybe your week and you think, what did I actually do? Did I make any progress on what really matters to me?
Yeah, the sources paint a clear picture. We hear about Michael, losing hours just scrolling on his phone. Or Sarah, who felt so daunted by the idea of starting something new that she just procrastinated, put it off.
Right. Or John, who was convinced his schedule was just too packed, no room at all.
Thomas, the shop owner, felt that too, didn't he? Just sure there was never a spare moment for any kind of self-improvement.
And that brings up a really important question, one the sources make us think about. Are we really short on time? Or are we maybe just not using the time we do have very effectively?
That's the million-dollar question.
It seems like it's often the second one. The sources suggest time isn't always wasted doing literally nothing, but maybe doing the wrong things.
Yeah.
Activities that don't really give you much value back.
Like the endless scrolling, yeah.
Yes.
Or watching random videos. Thomas, the office worker, his evening routine was a prime example in one note. Hours just vanishing.
Right. Vanishing into stuff that didn't align with his goals at all. And the first step, according to these stories, is just becoming aware, seeing where that time is actually going. That seems to be step one.
Okay, so awareness is key. Let's unpack that. Once people started noticing, wow, I spend that long scrolling.
Yeah.
What was the next step? What was the big insight these people found?
Well, this is where it gets really, really interesting, I think. The main lesson, and it's almost surprisingly simple when you see it repeated across different stories.
Yeah.
You don't need hours, you just need minutes. Tiny pockets of time used consistently. That's what makes the huge difference.
So forget finding a 2-hour block. Just find 10 minutes. Is that the idea?
Pretty much exactly that. The sources hammer this point home again and again. Consistency is way more important than quantity. Doing something for 10 or 15 minutes every single day, that's far more powerful long-term than trying to cram for 2 hours once a week.
Okay, but why? Did the sources get into the mechanism behind that? Why is daily practice better?
They did, yeah, mostly by showing the results. When you engage with something regularly, even briefly, you're building habits. You're actually strengthening the neural pathways in your brain for that skill.
Oh, okay.
Like Peter the driver. He practiced English every day in his downtime, little bits. And eventually, he started dreaming in English.
Wow.
Or Anna the student. She wasn't afraid of making mistakes because she practiced daily. Each mistake was just another small learning opportunity because the practice was constant. It's that regular repetition that really helps the brain, lock it in.
It really is like compound interest, isn't it, for your time?
Exactly. Those little minutes, you invest them day after day, and they add up massively over weeks, over months.
If you waste time scrolling, you end up with, nothing. But invest those same minutes wisely. The growth is real.
Totally. And the sources are full of brilliant, super practical examples of where people found these minutes. It wasn't like they suddenly had empty calendars.
Right.
They found time hidden inside their existing routines.
Okay, like what? Using the commute. I think I saw that mentioned.
Oh, yeah, definitely. John, listening to podcasts while waiting for the bus. William, the delivery driver, using those few minutes at red lights or between stops.
Huh, red lights? That's clever. Olivia, the nurse, turned her 15-minute bus ride into learning time every day.
And it wasn't just travel, right? People used other downtime, too.
Absolutely. Lunch breaks were common. John the student used his break. Peter the grocery worker reviewed flashcards during his.
Okay.
And a lot of people started folding learning into routine chores. Sarah the teacher listened to audio lessons while doing dishes or laundry.
Thomas and Emily, the farmers, they listened while working out in the fields. James, the delivery driver, listened while prepping his bread delivery.
So multitasking, but in a productive way.
Kind of, yeah. Even time that you'd normally think of as unproductive.
Like what?
Quiet work shifts for some. David, the security guard, used his long, quiet nights for studying. Michael, another security guard, did the same.
Ah, okay. Makes sense if the job allows it.
And others just tweaked their personal schedules slightly. Thomas started waking up just 15 minutes earlier.
Only 15 minutes.
Yep. Rebecca, a stay-at-home mom, woke up 20 minutes earlier. Emma, another mother, used 20 minutes after her kids were asleep. Small adjustments.
And it could be even smaller chunks.
Yeah.
I remember reading about Rebecca, the mother teacher.
Yeah. She found like 5 or 10 minutes while waiting for rice to cook or while her kids were playing nearby for a moment.
Wow.
The big point here is that these little pockets of time, they exist in pretty much everyone's day. You just, you have to look for them consciously.
You have to train yourself to see them.
Exactly. And once you spot those minutes, the sources give us a whole toolkit of really simple, doable actions people took. No complex systems needed.
Right. So once they found the minutes, what did they actually do with them? What were the common techniques?
Listening was huge, super common. People listened to podcasts, audio lessons, stories, news, basically anything audio.
And they did this while doing other things.
Yeah, while commuting, working, cleaning, exercising. We saw this from Michael, John, Thomas, Emma, William, Olivia, James, Rebecca, Peter, Andrew, Robert, Paul, Anna, Lisa, Rachel. I mean, loads of them.
Okay. So that's relatively passive, location-wise.
Yeah.
What about more active stuff?
Definitely. Writing was another big one. Not essays, but, short summaries, jotting down new words or phrases.
Wow.
Writing a few sentences in a journal each day, maybe using new vocabulary in a sentence or just writing about their day.
And how did they do that? Special tools.
Nope. Usually just a simple notebook or even their phone. We saw that with Sarah, John, Thomas, Emma, David, William, Olivia, James, Rebecca, Michael, Anna, Lisa, Rachel. Div from the bakery just kept a small notebook handy. Super simple.
Okay. Listening, writing.
Mm.
What about speaking? That always feels like the hardest one to practice alone.
True, but the sources showed people found ways, saying new words or phrases out loud to themselves, repeating sentences they heard.
Just talking to yourself.
Yeah, basically. Practicing simple conversations alone, maybe in the mirror, or using a voice recorder on their phone to hear themselves.
Right.
John, William, James, Sarah, Peter, Thomas, and Emily, the farmers, Kevin, Robert, Paul, Anna, Tom, they all found ways to work in some speaking.
Okay, and reading.
Yep, reading too. Short articles, simple books, even just reviewing their own notes. Michael, Rebecca, Andrew, Daniel, Rachel, Anna all mentioned doing that.
What strikes me is how low-tech most of this is.
Totally. Like Robert, working in the field, he used a basic phone and a piece of paper. That's it.
Wow.
Daniel, the repairman. He used a free podcast and an article his wife printed out for him. It wasn't about fancy apps or expensive courses.
It was about using what you have.
Exactly. Integrating simple, focused actions into the day you already have. And, reinforcing that idea that the goal isn't just to know stuff, it's to use it. That active use is what builds the skill, strengthens your brain.
And the results. The transformations people saw from sticking with these small daily actions. They're pretty amazing in these stories.
They really are genuinely inspiring. It wasn't just about learning English, for example. It went way beyond that. It built real confidence. It opened up actual doors.
How did that confidence show up? What did it look like?
Oh, in lots of ways. Michael just felt more focused overall. Sarah got way better at writing and felt less overwhelmed by tasks. John saw his understanding and vocabulary just shoot up, felt more capable.
Nice.
Thomas, the shop owner, much more confident talking to all sorts of customers. Emma could follow conversations easily. David, the security guard, just felt smarter, more sure of himself.
That's huge.
William, the driver, felt better talking to customers. Olivia improved her listening and writing, felt less nervous. James said it felt like opening a whole new chapter in his life.
I don't know.
Rebecca felt more peaceful, proud of herself. David, the bakery guy, had this moment where he understood a customer perfectly. A huge win for him. Sarah, the teacher, started helping other parents.
That's fantastic.
And Peter, the driver, remember, dreaming in English. Thomas, the office worker, spoke with more confidence at work. Rebecca, the mom teacher, started teaching her own kids. Michael, the email guy, got a promotion. John from the factory was asked to help coworkers. Lisa used her skills to write instructions for new staff at the restaurant. Rachel passed a college test she needed to take. It just builds and builds.
So it wasn't just feeling better, it led to tangible, real-world changes and opportunities.
Absolutely, real results. Thomas, the office worker, got asked to help with international clients because of his improved skills. Daniel, the repairman, he felt confident enough to start his own business.
No way.
Yeah. Emily, the teacher, became a public speaker. Robert, with his basic phone and paper, landed a job in another country. John, the warehouse worker, got a better paying role. Michael got that promotion. John, the factory worker, found a whole community through his learning.
It really wasn't magic, was it? It was just that compound interest again, small wins adding up consistently.
Exactly. Like the sources keep saying, you don't necessarily need more time. You need to use the time you have in a better way. 10 minutes a day is over 300 minutes, like 5 hours a month. That adds up.
Okay, so if it sounds this straightforward, find minutes, use simple tools, be consistent.
Yeah.
Why do so many of us still struggle with this? Why is it hard?
Yeah, that's a really crucial question, isn't it? And the sources touch on a few things. Often, it's just a lack of conscious planning. We don't really think strategically about our time because, well, you can't hold it, right? It's not like money or an object you can see dwindling. It just slips away.
That makes sense. It's abstract.
And then there's the pull of, distractions, laziness sometimes, maybe fear of messing up, or just the comfort of easy stuff like scrolling or watching videos.
Yeah, the path of least resistance.
Exactly. It feels easier in the moment, even if it doesn't actually help us get where we want to go long term.
So wrapping this all up, what does this mean for you listening right now? The big takeaway seems to be that the potential for growth, for learning that new skill, it's probably already there, hiding in your day.
Right. You really do have the power to control how you use your time, even those little fragments. The sources kind of boil down all this wisdom from these different people into some really concrete, actionable steps anyone can take, like starting today.
Okay, what are those key steps then?
First, just get honest with yourself. Become aware of where your time really goes, especially the time sunk into those low-value distractions.
Step 1, awareness.
Okay, second, actively look for those small pockets in your day. Your commute, your breaks, maybe while doing chores, waiting times, first thing in the morning, last thing at night. Think about your specific routine.
Find your minutes. Got it.
Third, pick one simple thing, one small focused action you can do consistently in those moments. Maybe listen to something specific, read a short article, write one sentence, say a few phrases out loud, just one thing to start.
Don't try to do everything at once.
Exactly. Fourth, make a tiny plan, and this is important, write it down. Even just scribbling listen to podcast on bus in a notebook makes it feel more real, more intentional.
Make it concrete. Okay.
Fifth, and this is maybe the most crucial one, start now. Like today, not I'll start tomorrow or next Monday. Consistency starts with the very first action. Even if you're tired, even if you don't feel like it, do that one small thing.
Start now. Use simple tools you already have.
Right. Don't aim for perfection, just aim for practice. Show up. And hey, if you can, make it social or mix it up practice with your partner or kids. Find an online group, switch between listening and writing. Use a voice recorder sometimes. Keep it from getting stale.
So this whole deep dive into how people really mastered their time, it boils down to something simple, but pretty profound, doesn't it? Time isn't just ticking by. It's your most valuable resource. You can't get it back.
And you probably already have the time you need for growth. It's just hiding in plain sight in those little moments you might be overlooking right now. The difference between feeling stuck and actually making progress, it often just comes down to how you decide to use those minutes.
We saw it with Peter, the grocery worker, Lisa in the restaurant, Michael in the office, Thomas and Emily on the farm, Kevin. All these different people using tiny moments to change their skills, their confidence, even their whole lives.
Yeah. The collective message from all these stories is a really powerful challenge, I think. It asks each of us, are you going to keep letting minutes slip away on things that don't help you grow? Or are you going to start using that time with purpose? Even just a few minutes.
Waiting for that perfect time, that big empty block on the calendar. It's such a common trap, isn't it? As one source said, tomorrow never comes if you always put it off till then.
Which really leaves one final important question for you listening right now. Thinking about your own day, your own habits. What's one small thing you do now that kind of wastes your time? And what's one small positive thing you could start doing today? Maybe using just 5 or 10 minutes reclaim from that wasted time to invest in yourself. to invest in your own growth, your future.
Write that down. Identify the waste, identify the investment, find your minutes, and then just take that first small action. Your future self is definitely going to thank you for it.